Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of our Wednesday night show with Joe Knows, that's me, where we review the NFL games and preview the upcoming NFL games. So this week we're going to be reviewing the Week 4 games that just occurred, and we'll be previewing the Week 5 games that are coming up. So we're basically like one quarter of the way through the season now it's a 17 game season, which I can't stand. It just mentally for me just throws everything off. I can't stand that it's going beyond 16 games myself. I don't like that at all, but it is what it is. But we're essentially one quarter of the way through the season. Things are starting to break. We're starting to see like who the good teams are, some of the surprisingly good teams, and some of the teams that are kind of disappointing. I'm talking to you, Steelers. Nothing against the Steelers, but man, I always used to say never count the Steelers out because this is an organization that's been really good for like the past 15, 20 years. They're always in it. And but not off to a good start. We'll get to that in a little bit though. But real quick, get this over here, this ticker going on down here. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Give us that 5-star Apple review. It helps us out a lot. And where you can find the show, just a reminder, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Facebook, where we have two pages. One is Toilets Titles, and the other is When a Family Breaks, which is dedicated to the trading of sports memorabilia. But we have our shows on there too. And last but not least, patreon.com/Toilets Titles. Go there. You can find out how you can further support the show. And after this show, I'm basically the warm-up act for Dollars to Deuces, which goes on around 10 or 10:30, depending upon when Rich and Nate can do the show. They both work. They both work late. And but Dollars to Deuces is our weekly betting advice, and it's on following this show here. I'm basically the warm up act for these guys, and you can send your questions through the chat as well, and they will address any and all questions that you send through there. Check it out; it's a lot of fun. When I end this show, and as soon as they go on, I go on immediately because I really enjoy it a lot. But anyway, let's get to our content. We have a lot of games to review and a lot of games to preview. So, week 4, the Thursday night game was a battle of the young quarterbacks. We had Joe Burrow in his second year coming off a major injury at the end of last year. Joe Burrow's looking great. The Bengals are now 3-1. How sexy is that? I'm really happy for the Cincinnati Bengals because this is an organization that went through a complete, in the process of going through a complete rebuild. They were always kind of playing second fiddle for a long time. For a long time, like 2011, 12, up to like 2014, 15. Bengals were a good team. It's just that they played in the hardest division in football. And they always had to compete with the Steelers and the Ravens, who were always like two of the elite teams every single year. And so it never really worked out for the Bengals. Bengals, basically are going through a rebuild, started a few years ago. They have a great young offense, don't they? The Bengals they're a lot of fun. Joe Burrow, local Ohio boy doing well, by Cincinnati. He's, the star quarterback for Cincinnati. He's got a great offensive, talented young wide receivers in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. They even got Joe Mixon down there, who's a pretty good running back. But Bengals are looking good. But hey, the Jaguars gave them a game. Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars gave them a game. It was 24-21. So that was good to see. It was good to see the Jaguars, they came to play, they came to fight, and they made a game of it. But the Bengals held them off 24-21. Bengals are now 3-1, one quarter of the way through the season. They're 3-1. Unfortunately, the Jaguars are 0-4, but it looks like they're getting better. I'm not going to touch on Urban Meyer too much. We'll see what's going to happen with that. But I think most of you know that, he got caught getting like a lap dance in a bar, and he's married, and it doesn't look good at all. So far, he's saying he's got no plans to resign, but we'll see about that. I don't know how long he's going to last. We'll see. I don't know if he's going to make it through the season. But anyway, Jaguars, you showed up to play. You're doing well. Trevor Lawrence, by the way, seems to be getting better, better and better every single week, and which is not a surprise. He's probably the most highly touted quarterback coming out of the NCAA, probably since Andrew Luck, as far as I can think of off the top of my head. And he's looking better and better, Trevor Lawrence, every week. And he's on a young team that's going through a rebuild, and so it's not going to be made easy for him. It's not like he was parachuted into a team that is filled with veterans who know how to win and who are really good themselves. No, he's on a mostly young team himself, and but Trevor Lawrence is coming along pretty nicely. He's looking better and better every week, and there's no reason to doubt the guy at all. But he's looking good, and this is a good battle between two young quarterbacks and two young up and coming teams. So good way to start off week 4 in the NFL. And then let's move on through the rest of the schedule. Washington is now 2-2. They defeated the 1-3 Falcons 34-30. This is another good game. Taylor Heineke, the quarterback for the young quarterback for Washington, is looking really good. He put up a nice game. He had I think 290 yards. Antonio Gibson had a pretty good game. Scary Terry McLaurin had a great game of 123 yards. But you know what? The Falcons came into play too, and the Falcons have been putting up points now for the past few weeks. Their offense is doing well. I had some questions myself there when Julio Jones was traded to Tennessee, but they're looking pretty good. Falcons, they're going to be going through. They're going to be probably have like a top 3 pick in the next draft coming up. Definitely top 5. I mean, the defense is not good. They don't have nearly much enough on their team to compete. Really, the Falcons, but they've been putting up points, and I think some of their the younger players are coming along pretty well. Like Kyle Pitts, their tight end, and as well as the wide receiver. Brain farting on the name right now, but they're coming along really well. Also, Cordarrelle Patterson is having a rejuvenation in his career with Atlanta. He's looking fantastic. The guy is like a wide receiver / running back. He really seems to be more of a running back. But Cordarrelle Patterson's kind of like stealing the show in Atlanta right now, and he is putting up. If you're in a fantasy football like I am, this guy is turning into a fantasy football. At least last week, he was a fantasy football monster. But Cordarrelle Patterson, every single week, has been getting more and more touches, both as a receiver and the running back. And he's been putting up more and more points, and he's looking like a serious friggin' weapon for Atlanta right now. So, Atlanta's doing the best they can. They put up a game against Washington. Washington's a talented team themselves, but the Falcons do fall 34-30, and their record falls to 1-3. But Falcons are going to have a long year. They don't have too much talent on that team. The quarterback is looking, he's older. I mean, he's looking okay. He's older though, and but they're going through a rebuild themselves as well soon. So moving on to the next game, the Bills 3-1 shut out the 1-3 Texans 40-0. It's funny. Last week when I was doing my picks, of course they had the Bills to win straight up, but I was also taking the Texans with the points because the points it was something like 17.5 points, and I was like, that the Texans were getting. I'm like, you know what? When you see a line that big, you kind of have to go with the points. And so I was saying take the Texans with the points. I was dead wrong, especially with Davis Mills, young Davis Mills at quarterback. But Bills took care of business, man. The Bills, I'll tell you, I was looking at the upcoming schedules, and you look at the AFC East and how really not good it is. I mean, the Patriots aren't all that talented of a team. I'm sure the Patriots will probably be like 8-8, 9-7 by the end of the year. The Dolphins are in real trouble with Tua not there at quarterback. Not that Tua was looking great, but he's better than what they have now at quarterback, which is Jacoby Brissett. And right now, the Dolphins, the wheels are just kind of like falling off. I can't stand that because the Dolphins, one of my backup teams. So I'm a Giants fan of myself, but the Dolphins are one of the backup teams that I root for. And the Dolphins were just looking so sexy coming into the season. But, Dolphins are in trouble now. And my point is that you look at the rest of the AFC East, the Jets are going to have a long season. The Bills are in a great position to go they're 3-1 right now. The Bills are in great position to go like 16-1 or like 15-2, given that it's a 17-game season now. They might not really lose more than like one more game. I mean, don't be shocked at all if and which you would be because the Bills are one of the elite teams in the NFL anyway. But the AFC Championship game might be going through Buffalo. The road to the Super Bowl in the AFC is very well going to be going through Buffalo this year. They're off to a good start. Josh Allen's looking phenomenal again. Stephon Diggs is looking good. The Buffalo Bills defense is looking really good, looking stout, looking tough. And again, they play in a really weak division. It's kind of like what New England had for so long, right? New England during, for the vast majority of New England's reign as these, uber Super Bowl champions, guys who were always either in the Super Bowl or knocking on the door every single year, with the Belichick Brady years. New England also had a really weak AFC East that they didn't have to worry about, that they could just plow through, get their build up their wins and their record, and more often than not, they'd be hosting, like the AFC, the AFC would have to go through them because they'd have the best record. Buffalo Bills are, there's a very good chance that the Buffalo Bills are going to wind up with the best record in the AFC this year, and that that they'll be hosting the AFC Championship game. So Buffalo's looking really good. They seriously took care of business again. Like I said, 40-0. This is the second week in a row where I think they blew their competition out. And hey, listen, you just Texans of the competition. You go out there, take care of business like they did, 40-0, and I like to see that. So good for you, Buffalo. 2-2 Bears are now 2-2. They defeated the 0-4 Lions 24-14, and this is Justin Fields. He played in this game. Justin Fields, I don't think he had a great game or anything, but definitely better than his first game. Let me see the numbers here again. I forgot. Where is that Chicago game? Chicago Lions. Okay, so it was yeah, let me get into that. I don't have the stats here. But not Floyd, I'm sorry. Um, he definitely had Justin Fields definitely had a better game this game here, and but the Bears defense really took care of the Lions. I'm actually kind of surprised that the Lions are 0-4, just because the Lions they've been in a lot of games. They had some really tough competition earlier this year, and they played some close games that you never thought they'd be in. And I almost felt like the Lions actually had a win already, but they're actually 0-4. I still think the Lions are looking good for a team that's going through a complete rebuild. And but the Bears took care of business here. The Bears are now 2-2, and Justin Fields today was named the starter I'm not sure for at least this upcoming week, but I think it's actually for the rest of the season. I think Fields is the starter for the rest of the season, but he's definitely been named at the very least the starter for this upcoming game in week 5. So which I think is the right move. I mean, you're not going anywhere without Andy Dalton. I'm a big believer that a head coaching staff has got to, when they're going to put a young quarterback in a rookie, they got to do it when they feel like it's right. Hopefully they feel like it's right, but Andy Dalton, it's like, I don't know. I think, listen, get Fields in there. I think it's the right thing to do. Protect them the best that they can. I know the Bears' offensive line has not been good this year, but listen, just have him get rid of the ball quickly if you need to, whatever. But get him out on the field. He's going to learn faster that way. I just don't want to see him get creamed like his first game last week when he got sacked like 9 times or something like that. I don't want to see that. Hand the ball off, get rid of the ball quick. When you can take a shot downfield, take it. That's great, but get him on the field. But don't let him get knocked out and injured. I don't want to see the young quarterback get slaughtered out there either. But the Justin Fields era has officially begun. So Bears fans, I'm excited for you. He's an exciting young quarterback, and maybe he'll make it two games in a row when we go over the Week 5 schedule coming up at the end of the program. Okay, the Cowboys defeated the Panthers. Both teams are 3-1 now. The final score was 36-28. Actually, I don't think the game was really this close, as the score indicates. It was only a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. That's the point differential here. The Cowboys really took care of business. I wasn't surprised by this at all. Um, it's actually what I expected. I think the Cowboys are in a different tier. I think the Cowboys are like the Buccaneers and the Rams and now the Cardinals. Like these are the 4 elite teams, the NFC. These guys are serious business. The Cowboys, the Cardinals, again, the Rams and the Buccaneers. I don't think the Panthers are there. I think the Panthers are like kind of like up there, with like the best of the rest, kind of like the Packers. I put the Packers ahead of the Panthers too, to be honest with you. But I think the Packers are like the second, amongst the second tier teams and one of the better second tier teams. I thought the Cowboys would be too much for the Panthers, but hey, the Panthers went in, they competed. They look good. I believe also McCaffrey didn't play as well. I think he was injured. So McCaffrey, easily obviously would have made some sort of difference, but I still think the Cowboys were the better team, and I wasn't shocked at all by this outcome. And like I said, they're really the 8 point. It was actually the game really wasn't even this close, but whatever. The Panthers showed up. This is a rebuilding team. They're mostly young. Sam Darnold's looking really good. Everything's clicking really, really well for the Panthers. So there's nothing wrong with their loss to the Cowboys. I just think the Cowboys are definitely like more of an elite team, and the Panthers are just more like an up and coming team. But Panthers are looking really good for the season. I love the way the rebuild is going. They've got a lot of young talent on that team, man. The Panthers, don't be surprised if you see them in the Super Bowl like in 2 years. But right now, the Cowboys are one of the elite teams, and they're starting, like I was saying like 2 weeks ago. I was saying 2 weeks ago, you're going to start seeing the Cowboys pull away from in the NFC East, and you're starting to see it now. And they're not going to be looking back either. Cowboys are really good. Okay, moving on to the 1-3 Colts. The Colts, a lot of teams this week who were offers, a lot of teams who had 0 wins. They were like 0 for 3. It's the Colts, the Giants, the Jets, maybe another 1 or 2 teams. got wins. They all got wins this week. So the Colts got their first win. They're now 1-3. They defeated the Dolphins, who now fall to 1-3, 27-17. I think I'd also pick the Colts in this game as well, if I recall correctly. And we'll get to my record from last week, from week 4, and all my picks. I did very well. I'm very happy with myself because I had very little conviction last week concerning my picks. I was very nervous about the picks last week. I had very little conviction, but I actually did very well. We'll get to that at the end of the program. But hey, the Colts showed up. They took care of business. The Dolphins are reeling right now. They're looking in bad shape. But they still have a lot of talent on that team, but I think it's going to be a rough year without Tua. And like I said, not that Tua was looking great, earlier this year, but he was looking serviceable, and he was having a good connection with Jalen Waddle and Devontae Parker. And but with Jacoby Brissett, I think this is it's a problem. I think it's a problem, and the Dolphins may have a long year, and which stinks to see because this team's got a lot of talent. They're a good young team, and I wanted to see them hopefully make the playoffs this year. And I just got a bad feeling about that. But the Colts got their first win. Happy for Carson Wentz. It was good for him. He was out there with 2 bad ankles, and and they pulled off the win. So good for the Colts. So I think the Colts. Listen, the Colts, if they can get T.Y. Hilton back, and if he can, I don't think he's going to be T.Y. Hilton from a few years ago. I think those days are over. But if he's coming back and he can, give them something better than they're getting at wide receivers so far, it's going to help the Colts out a lot. It's going to help out Carson Wentz a lot. So the Colts, I think, are going to have quite a few more wins in them, throughout the rest of the season. But the Colts also play, um, they play in a bit of a tough division. I got to actually check out that record there. But the Colts are. We'll see. I think the Colts definitely have some more wins in them. They have a very good defense, and like I said, T.Y. Hilton can come back and and give something pretty good to Carson Wentz. It's going to help the Colts out a lot. It really is. Okay, my Giants, my New York Giants, baby. They're a team that got their first win as well. They're 1-3 now. They upset the now 2-2 Saints, 27-21 in overtime. Whew, as a Giants fan, it felt so good to get that first win. It was a great game by Daniel Jones. It was probably the best game of his career. Definitely the best game of his career. Definitely the best game since his first game he ever played against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2019, the 4th game of 2019, where he led a big time comeback in that game too. I think they were down 28-10 at halftime, and Jones led a really huge comeback. I think they won like 33-31 or something like that. And same thing here. The Giants were down like 6 minutes to go, 7 minutes to go. I think they were down 21-10, I believe it was. And Jones led the comeback. He had a great game. He had a little over 400 yards passing. Um, Saquon Barkley had, I think, 125 combined yards, most of them in the air, but he put up something like 56 yards rushing. Barkley did. Then he also put up like 70 yards in the air, and he had a touchdown as well. Barkley seems to be coming along. He seems to be coming along. And this is something I was warning Giants fans about before the season even began, that, listen, a lot of your best weapons didn't play this preseason. Saquon Barkley didn't play this preseason, recovering from his torn ACL. Kenny Golladay, big free agency signing. He didn't play this preseason because of injuries. Kadarius Toney, their first round pick, who had a great game as well. He didn't play because of injury. So it was going to take some time for these guys to, work their way into this offense. And so they seem to be coming along because both, Golladay and Toney and Barkley and Jones all had great games together. I'll say this: Dave Gettleman, the very vilified GM of the New York Giants, his top first round picks all balled out. They all balled out together this Sunday. Daniel Jones, well, I can go in chronological order of when they were picked. Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, Andrew Thomas, who's looking like a fantastic left tackle now, and Kadarius Toney, who was their first round pick this year. All balled out. They look great. And I just want to see more of that. The Giants have a big game coming up against Dallas, which I'm not expecting. We'll get that to a little later, but I'm not expecting a win at all. Dallas is definitely better than the Giants, but I just want to see the Giants offense continue to progress, continue to roll. No more, one step forward, one step back. No way. I just want to see them continue to perform. But the Giants had a really great game against the Saints. And the Saints are 2-2. And I'll say this about the Saints. Their defense is very good. But I think their offense is all smoke and mirrors. Um, I was glad when Jameis Winston went to New Orleans. I thought it'd be a great chance for him to revitalize his career, and I still think that he could. But I don't think he's been having some monster performances this year. They had something like 8 touchdowns in 2 games, and you look at that, and it was like basically it wasn't like Kamara had like these huge games and those 2 victories that they had where they put up like 8 touchdowns, and neither did Winston. Winston in those 2 games probably had like a combined 300, 350 yards in the 2 games combined. It was the defense was creating a lot of turnovers and giving the ball to New Orleans, with in really good field position. That's why I'm saying that the Saints offense is really smoke and mirrors right now. They do not have a number one wide receiver. Marquez Callaway is not a number one wide receiver, not even damn close. They need Michael Thomas back. I don't know when he's coming back. I check every week to see, when he might be coming back. To me, I cannot find any indication, if and when Thomas is coming back. And I wouldn't be surprised if he even gets traded, because I know things are bad between him and the Saints right now, Thomas and the Saints. But they don't have Drew Brees, and they don't have, and Jameis Winston doesn't have, any legit wide receiver ones to throw to. They've got Kamara, and that's it. But it's Kamara, it's Taysom Hill, the backup quarterback who does a lot of running and scores a lot of touchdowns for the team, and it's the defense. So it's really the offense is just kind of like smoke and mirrors. The Saints are in trouble. I don't think they look good at all. I think the offense actually looks really bad. And I thought they were actually bad before they played the Giants. They didn't look good against the Giants. Like I said, there wasn't really much going on with this offense. So I think the Saints are in for a long season, and they're going to need to start drafting some wide receivers for Jameis Winston or any other quarterback that they get after this year. Um, okay, let's move on to the next game. The Jets got their first win. Zach Wilson had a really good game. He put up like almost 300 yards. The Jets are now 1-3. The upset the 2-2 Titans. The Titans are now 2-2. This also went to overtime. The final score is 27-24. Even though the Titans are very banged up, they didn't have AJ Brown, they didn't have Julio Jones. So really, all they had was like Derrick Henry, and that was really it, to be honest with you. So, in the hindsight, I mean, the final score in this game is still surprising, in that the Jets upset the Titans just because the Jets offense had looked so bad for the first 3 games. But you know what, the Jets, hey, listen, the Titans were ripe for being taken down, and the Jets didn't. So good for them. Zach Wilson gets his first win. He had a good game. Titans defense looks like absolute garbage, but let me tell you, the Titans offense, man, AJ Brown better be back this week, and maybe Julio Jones too, because if it's just Derrick Henry is an absolute beast. I love that guy. He is the type of running back that I absolutely love. He's a road grader. Don't get in his way. He's like Marshawn Lynch was. Just do not get in that guy's way. But you need a passing attack too. It can't just be Derrick Henry. And but the Jets were able to do it. Good for you, Jets. You got your first win, and congratulations. That was a really good game for you. Okay, the Chiefs 2-2, who are now 2-2, defeated the now 1-3 Philadelphia Eagles 42-30. Not surprised by this result either. The Chiefs are a class above the Eagles, definitely. Chiefs are definitely, they're still an elite team. The Chiefs have been off to a slow start for the Chiefs. I still think the Chiefs by the end of the season are still going to be like 12-4 or something like that. So the team's still too talented in terms of Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, as well as Travis Kelsey. Don't be surprised if they make a trade. I could see the Chiefs making a big trade, not for a defensive player, but another playmaker. And they've got Josh Gordon coming online this week. So Josh Gordon, who they signed a few weeks ago as a free agent, is going to be starting this week. I don't know if he's actually going to see the field. I assume he will. But all reports out of Kansas City is that Josh Gordon kept himself in fantastic shape, and that I don't think Andy Reid would be putting him out there at all unless Josh Gordon, knew the offense at least pretty well. I'm sure he doesn't know all the offense, but you're going to see Josh Gordon out there, and the guy's like only like 30 years old. It's not old at all, and he hasn't played much football over the past few years just because of his suspension. So his body's, I'm sure it's in good shape. Like I said, all reports are that he's in great shape, great football shape. So I'll tell you, I think Josh Gordon is going to have a fantastic season. As long as he doesn't get himself suspended, we'll see. I feel bad for that guy. I hope he can stay clean, whatever his issues are. Stay clean, man. I want to see you revive your career. I'm glad that he's going to that he's with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Kansas City. He doesn't have to be the number one, the alpha wide receiver. There's Tyreek Hill. You look at Antonio Brown going to Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, and that was just such a great situation because there was so much talent already down in Tampa Bay, and you got Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the man. Tom Brady is like a leader. He's a man amongst men. Yeah, he's a man amongst men. Basically, he's a leader. Like this is people love playing for this guy. He's a cool, laid back guy who obviously is a great quarterback in his own right and gets the job done. But he's got a great laid back personality, and I think Tom Brady probably just makes things so much easier in so many different ways for his teammates. And in Tampa Bay and Tom Brady specifically was just perfect for Antonio Brown. And I think Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are going to be the same way, and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to provide that same like really good environment for Josh Gordon. And I'm really pushing for Josh Gordon. It's not like this is some guy who you know, killed people or anything, did anything violent or crazy. This is just a guy who's got like his own, addiction problems. So I'm really hoping Josh Gordon can stick with the Chiefs, shows up, plays well, and I'm sure he's going to get included more and more in the offense. I don't know how many times he's going to see the ball this week, but I assume he's going to get his feet wet a little bit on a few plays. He'll get a few targets, and but as the season goes on, I really do believe that Josh Gordon is going to seriously help out the Chiefs this year. I believe that. I really do. But they took care of the Eagles. Hey, Eagles fans, you have a good team, man. You have a good team. There's no shame in losing. You're only 1-3, but you played. The Philadelphia Eagles have a lot of game. This is a tough team. They got a lot of game in them, and they got good playmakers. They've had some tough losses, but to tough teams. Last week, Philadelphia lost to Dallas. That wasn't a surprise at all. I wasn't shocked at all that Dallas really took care of the Eagles. Dallas is definitely better. Dallas is the best team in the NFC East by far. And yet the Eagles have stuck with some really tough teams. And Jalen Hurts is having a very good year. He's having a very good year. So the Eagles, I think you look really good. Listen, losing to the Chiefs, losing to the Cowboys. And there's no shame in that at all. And here you still put up a fight. You got up to 30 points against the Chiefs, and you played a good game, man. You played a good game. You try Philadelphia Eagles. You're trending in the right direction, and I think Jalen Hurts looks really good. You're just going up against really tough teams right now. That's all. You're going up against teams that I think are definitely a tier above you guys, and so there's no shame in losing those types of teams like the Cowboys and the Chiefs. Eagles fans, I think your team looks really good, and I think your team is trending in the right direction. And I think all your key young players look really, really good. And I love Gainwell. I love that you added Gainwell. I was kind of saying earlier this year when me and my compatriots here at Toilets and Titles were talking about players that we like, that came out of this year's draft. And, I was always harping on Gainwell. I was even saying, like, don't be surprised if Gainwell winds up taking the sort of like the RB1 spot from Sanders. And I don't think Gainwell could be the RB1 over the entire course of a year, but I think he could do it for like 4 to 6 games. Um, but I think Gainwell is a special player, and he might be taking over for Sanders soon. I think Miles Sanders is a really good running back, but Gainwell right now he's looking a little better, and I don't be surprised if he does take over that RB1 spot at least for a few weeks. Eagles, Devontae Smith, I think is looking really good, and again, Jalen Hurts is looking great. A lot of your key young players are looking good. I think you guys are trending in the right direction. You've just had some really tough teams the past 2 weeks that you had to go against, though. That's all. I think you guys are in good shape, though. Cardinals are 4-0. I think the only undefeated team that's left, the Cardinals, aka the sexiest team in the NFL. The Cardinals look fantastic. They went into LA and they upset the Rams, who are now 3-1. The final score was 37-20, and that's not a fluke. The Cardinals controlled this game throughout. And I don't actually think that the Cardinals are a 17 point uh, uh, better team. I don't. I'm putting it the wrong way, but I don't think the points. I don't think the Cardinals are really better than the Rams by 17 points. I just don't think that. I don't think the Rams match up well with the Cardinals. The Cardinals are tough to defend. Putting up 37 points against that Rams defense is damn impressive, and they held the Rams offense to 20 points. That's impressive. The Cardinals defense, everyone's talking about the Cardinals offense, which they should. I mean, that's really where most of their firepower is. This is, their real star power is on offense, the Cardinals, but their defense is actually looking really good. I would say the Cardinals defense looks elite, but it's looking really good. And damn, they held the Rams offense to 20 points in LA. That's really impressive. So it's funny. I was saying last week that the three elite teams in the NFC are the Rams, the Buccaneers, and the Cowboys. And I said the Cardinals were knocking on the door, but they're not there yet. I was wrong. The Cardinals are there. The Cardinals proved it. They really seriously took care of business easily against the Rams. And the Cardinals are one of the elite teams in the NFC. I'd say there are four elite teams in the NFC: Dallas, Cardinals, Rams, and the Buccaneers. I think they're absolutely better than everyone else, including the Packers, the Seahawks. I think those are like the second tier teams. Speaking of the Seahawks, Seahawks now 2-2. They defeated the 49ers, who are now 2-2, 28-21. And I'll tell you, this is one tough division. And the Rams are 4-0. The Rams are 3-1. The Cardinals are 4-0. And now you've got the Seahawks and 49ers who are both 2-2. Seahawks took care of business against the 49ers 28-21. I actually predicted this game as well, that the Seahawks were going to win. I think the Seahawks are kind of like the Packers. We're getting ready to go on a roll. Going into this game, I had a feeling the Seahawks were getting ready to go on a roll. And I think the 49ers are in some trouble here. I don't think Garoppolo looks very good. And I don't know if Trey Lance is ready. I know he played this last game and he actually played pretty well. But I believe Garoppolo is expected to start this week, but he's also banged up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens this weekend by the Sunday game, what Garoppolo's status is. But the Seahawks took care of business against the 49ers, 28-21. Both teams are 2-2, but they're both looking up at the Rams, who are 3-1, and the Cardinals, who are 4-0. That is a really, really tough division, man. That is probably the toughest division in football, besides probably the AFC West. Besides maybe the AFC West, but NFC West is looking really, really tough itself. Okay, the 3-1 Ravens defeated the 3-1 Broncos 23-7. This was the Broncos suffered their first loss. They also suffered a key injury with Teddy Bridgewater. I think Bridgewater. I checked on his status today, and there are reports stating that he may play this upcoming Sunday, but it was a concussion that he suffered, and we'll see about that. We'll see about that if Bridgewater is actually gonna play this upcoming Sunday. But the Ravens took care of business against the Broncos, and when Bridgewater went down, there was really no chance after that. Drew Lock wasn't going to be. He still has a lot to learn, and he wasn't going to do much against the Ravens defense. So, but I still think the Broncos look really good overall. They do need to get Bridgewater back as their starter if they want to continue to win games. I thought at the beginning of the season that they should go with Drew Lock and see what they got, because I still think they're not. Even if Bridgewater were healthy, they're not going to be winning a Super Bowl with Teddy Bridgewater, and they could make the playoffs. But I don't think that playoff run, I think, would have a definitive ceiling, and it's definitely not Super Bowl and probably not AFC Championship game. I thought they should play Drew Lock, give him a chance to play this whole season, see what he gives you, and then if you need to move on after the season, get another quarterback, then you do that. But they're playing really well. Teddy Bridgewater. They played really well with Bridgewater. And but we'll see when he comes back. We'll see when he comes back. But Ravens, man, Ravens, like I predicted a few weeks ago too. Ravens are ready to go on a roll. After they beat the Chiefs, that inspiring victory against the Chiefs, I'm like, this team's ready to roll. This team is ready to roll. Just like the Packers and just like the Seahawks, I felt like these teams were ready to roll. This is the time of the season where, like these types of teams, like the Ravens, the Packers, and the Seahawks, they're ready to roll off some wins. Okay, next game, Packers 3-1 defeated the 1-3 Steelers 27-17. I predicted this game as well. The Steelers are reeling. They look bad. More specifically, Ben Roethlisberger does not look good. I think he actually put up like 297 yards this last game, but it wasn't like a lot of yards per completion. Steelers got to move on. They got to move on soon, and they should probably give Haskins a chance soon. Either that, or maybe trade for after the season, draft a quarterback, or make a trade like for another young quarterback that might be available, just like when the Panthers got Sam Darnold. But Steelers are in real trouble, and they're not looking good overall. They've got weapons. They still have a good defense. They still have a very good defense, and they do have weapons, but it's not coming together. And I don't think it's going to be, which I'm surprised because I was saying at the beginning of the season, a lot of other people, most people were counting the Steelers out and down, or I should say down and out. And I was the one who was saying, I don't think so. The Steelers have to actually stink before I'll believe that, and they're not looking good. So right now, they're proving me wrong. The Steelers are proving me wrong, and they're just not looking good at all. But the Packers, not surprised at all. They took care of business. I feel like this is the time of year where I remember the Packers lost that first game to the Saints in really bad fashion, like 31-3 or something like that, and everyone was like, "Oh, the Saints look amazing, and you know, Aaron Rodgers looks horrible, and the Packers stink, and blah 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 blah." Uh, I thought it was just like a bad first game. That's it. And ever since then, the Packers have been rolling. So, and I think the Packers are going to continue to roll. I don't think the Packers are not like an elite team, in my opinion. They are not as good as Dallas. They're not as good as Tampa Bay or the Rams or the Cardinals, but they're definitely the best of the rest of the teams. Like the Packers that are definitely the best of the second tier teams, like them in Seattle. I put like them in Seattle, and maybe Carolina too. But those are like the second tier teams, and the Packers will wind up making the playoffs like they always do. But I don't think Packers can match up with the other four teams, with the big four teams in the NFC. But hey, Packers are taking care of business. That's all you can ask for. Buccaneers moved to 3-1. They defeated the 1-3 Patriots 19-17. I was just surprised that this game was close. Hey, good for you, Patriots. I didn't think you'd be able to keep this close. Tampa Bay is obviously a lot more talented than you are. But Mac Jones put up a really good game. Mac Jones put up a really good game, man. And I think the Patriots. I think the Patriots had a chance to win, and there was a missed field goal at the end of the game, if I recall correctly. So but the game was a lot more, interesting than I thought it would be. I saw this matchup, and everyone, a lot of people were excited because it's Brady versus Belichick. To me, that really meant nothing. I have so much respect for both of them. I think everyone's always trying to. You had so many haters out there against the Patriots and Brady for 20 years. People like always trying to take away what these guys achieved. They're cheaters and they this and that. Hey, and there was some cheating involved, but I'm sorry, you're not going to make 9 Super Bowl appearances and win 6 by cheating. So yeah, that was definitely the greatest head coach quarterback combination of all time. And now they're split up. People, they want to continue to hate on Belichick, so they're like, oh, Brady's going to go, and you know, Belichick stinks about Brady, as if like Belichick is some bad head coach, like, because he doesn't have Brady anymore. I mean, listen, what great head coaches didn't win games without didn't win Super Bowls without great quarterbacks as well. Bill Walsh had Joe Montana. Uh, you know, um, Chuck Noll had Terry Bradshaw. You look at Landry had Staubach. Jesus, like every great head coach had, at least every great head coach that won multiple Super Bowls had a great quarterback. So listen, it, the Patriots not being as good, without Tom Brady, it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise at all. And the Patriots are basically a rebuilding team. But that takes nothing away from Belichick. Belichick is the best head coach of all time. And guess what? Tom Brady's got 7 Super Bowl rings. There's someone out there who's got one more ring than he does, and his name is Bill Belichick. That's right. Brady's got 7 Super Bowl rings, 6 with the Patriots, 1 with the Buccaneers. And Bill Belichick had 6 rings with the Patriots and 2 with the New York Giants as the defensive coordinator. So there is someone out there that's got one more ring than Tom Brady, and his name is Bill Belichick, and he is the best head coach of all time. And then you had the Monday night game. You had the 3-1 Chargers defeating the now 3-1 Raiders, 28-14. Not a surprise. You're not a surprise. I think the Raiders are having a great season, man. And the Raiders are one of my backup teams. They're actually my number one backup team. Like I said, I'm a Giants fan, but I've got a few teams that I root for as backups: Raiders, the Dolphins, and the Browns. Raiders are having a really good season, and this loss to the Chargers should not take anything away from what the Raiders are doing this year. The Raiders are looking very, very good. The Raiders' defense is looking very good, and their offense is looking good too. The quarterback is looking fantastic. Derek Carr, he's having an awesome season. His offensive line is giving him protection, and he doesn't have the most talented receivers. He's got a great tight end. He's got a great tight end, but his receivers, like he doesn't have like a real, wide receiver one. He's got some talented wide receivers, but he needs a wide receiver one himself to really like make all the other receivers better around him too. You get Carr like a true number one receiver either through free agency or the draft next year, and the Raiders are going to be looking even better. But the Raiders look really good right now, and losing to the Chargers, who I think might be like the second best team, one of the top two, certainly one of the top three teams in the AFC right now. There's no shame in that, and the Chargers really controlled this game throughout, and they are a better team, the Chargers. Chargers defense is really good. They're very good, and obviously, the second-year quarterback looks fantastic, and Justin Herbert. Their offense is doing very well. Eckler is a very important ingredient. I don't know if that guy, the running back, can stay healthy through for an entire year. But if he can, the Chargers are in great shape. And the Chargers are right up there with Buffalo and Kansas City. Yes, I know Kansas City's 2-2. Let's not pretend that Kansas City's going to be like 9-8 at the end of the season. We all know that's not going to happen. Kansas City's going to have like at least 12 wins by the end of the year. All right. They got off to a slow start, but the Bills, the Chargers, Kansas City Chiefs, those are looking like the three best teams in the AFC right now, like the elite teams. And me myself, I'm throwing the Ravens out there because I never discount the Ravens. The Ravens are always a tough team. Whenever people start counting them out, the Ravens just punch you in the nose whenever you count them out. So, but the Chargers are definitely one of the elite teams right now. The AFC, they're looking great. And I don't think the Raiders, I don't think they're an elite team in the AFC yet. I think they're like the kind of like the Packers in the NFC. I think they're the second tier right below, knocking on the door of being elite. But the Raiders, you know what? Hey, your team is building really well. You guys look good, and you're certainly trending in the right direction. Even better than that, you're looking really good. Just continue. You're having a great season. Don't let the one loss to the Chargers, make you feel otherwise. You're having a great season, guys. All right, now it's on to the NFL picks. My picks for Week 5. And I'm going to share a screen. Let me get my PowerPoint presentation up over here. Okay, let me do the old share screen. I'm such an old man. This always takes me a while. All right. I'm going to do that. Boom. Share. There we go, baby. Yeah. Okay, so far, my week 4 results, I was 10-6 with the spread, and I was 13-3 straight up. My results year to date, I'm 39-25 with the spread and 42-22 straight up. I think I'm having a very good year so far on my picks. And so now we're going to hit Joe Knows picks for week 5 of the NFL. And again, I'm going to be updating these Sunday morning when I do my Cup of Joe show Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. I'll be updating these picks. Most of them will stay the same, but it's not necessarily going to stay that way. Um, sometimes the line changes over a few days, but also you got some key guys out there that I'm waiting for injury status on, such as Bridgewater for Denver, and I think Garoppolo for the 49ers. So some of these picks, may change Sunday morning. But right now, these are my picks as of right now for week 5. Rams at the Seahawks, Thursday night game. The Rams are giving 2.5. I'm taking the Seahawks getting the points, and I'm taking the Rams straight up. I think this is going to be a really tough game. I definitely feel like the Rams are better than the Seahawks, but they're playing in Seattle, which is a very tough venue to play in. And so I'm going to go with the Seahawks getting the points. I'll take the Rams straight up to win like a 1-point game. It's going to be a very good game, I think. Jets at the Falcons. The Falcons are laying 3.5 points. As of right now, I'm taking Jets getting the points. I'm taking the Falcons straight up. I wouldn't be surprised if Sunday morning I switch it to the Falcons winning, even though they're giving the points, and the Falcons straight up. But right now, I'm going with the Jets getting the points and the Falcons straight up. And again, the game is in Atlanta. Okay, next game, Packers at the Bengals. The Packers are laying 3 points. I'm really surprised they're only giving 3 points, even though it's in Cincinnati. And Cincinnati's look good. But I'm going to take the Packers giving the points. I'm going to take the Packers straight up. Lions at the Vikings. The Vikings are laying a lot of points. They're laying 8 points. I'm going to take the Lions getting the points in this game. The Lions have played tough. They've played really tough this season. I like the way they've been playing under Dan Campbell, the new head coach. I have a feeling that I'm taking the Vikings straight up, but I'm going to take the Lions getting the points. I think this is going to be a fairly close game, and I definitely feel like it's going to be within 8 points. The Broncos at the Steelers. Steelers are giving a point and a half, which I'm actually kind of surprised about. The Steelers are giving a point and a half, but then again, I have to see what's going on with Bridgewater. As of right now, I'm taking Broncos getting the points. I'm working under the assumption that Bridgewater is going to play. I'm taking the Broncos getting the points, and I'm taking the Broncos straight up. And again, that is if Bridgewater plays. We'll see Sunday morning, if that changes. But I assume by Sunday morning we should know whether or not Bridgewater is going to be playing that day. But as of right now, the Steelers are giving a point and a half. I'm taking the Broncos getting the points. I'm taking the Broncos straight up. So I'm taking the Broncos in the upset right now if Bridgewater's playing. Dolphins at the Buccaneers. A few weeks ago, this game would have looked so exciting on paper, but with two being out and just it seems like the Dolphins are just kind of collapsing right now. The Buccaneers are giving 10 points. That's a very big spread. That's a lot of points to be given, but I'm going to be giving, especially since this game's in Tampa Bay, I'm going to take the Buccaneers giving the points and the Buccaneers straight up. Saints at Washington. The Saints are laying they're giving 2.5 points at Washington. I can't, that line really surprises me. The Saints are giving 2.5 points at Washington. I would think that Washington should be giving points, but the Saints are okay. The Saints are giving 2.5 points. I'm taking Washington getting the points. I'm taking Washington straight up. That'll be an upset. I think Washington's going to handle the Saints pretty easily. I really do. I'm not impressed by the Saints. I'm really not impressed by the Saints at all. Eagles at the Panthers. The Panthers are giving 3.5 points. I'm taking the Eagles getting the points. I'm taking the Panthers straight up. That might change as well. I think this is going to be a very good game. I think people are kind of like uh, crapping on the Eagles a little bit because they've lost like 3 games in a row after winning their first one. I think the Eagles are actually a pretty solid team, and I think they and the Panthers are a really good matchup. I think it's a very good matchup. But giving so it's in Carolina. Panthers are given 3.5 points. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that for right now. Eagles getting the points and the Panthers straight up. Titans at the Jaguars. I got to wrap this up because the next show has to start getting ready. Titans at the Jaguars. Titans are giving 4 points. I'm taking the Titans, giving the points, and the Titans straight up. Don't be shocked if Sunday morning if I change that a little bit. So I think the Jaguars are playing better and better. And the Titans are really banged up, man. They're really banged up. We'll see what happens Sunday morning with the status of AJ Brown, Julio Jones. We'll see. If those guys are out, then I'm most likely changing what my picks are here with this game. But as of right now, I'm taking I'm taking the Titans giving the points and the Titans straight up. Patriots at the Texans. Patriots are giving 9.5 points. I'm taking the Patriots giving the points and the Patriots straight up. Texans look really bad right now with Davis Mills at quarterback, and not Tom Brady, Bill Belichick is definitely going to have his defense picking Davis Mills apart. So I'll take, even though the game's in Houston, I'm going to take the Patriots giving the points, even though they're giving points, and I'm taking the Patriots straight up. Bears at the Raiders. The Raiders are giving 5.5 points. I'm taking the Raiders giving the points and the Raiders straight up. I think it's going to be a tough game for Justin Fields. Browns at Chargers. The Chargers are giving a point and a half. I'm going to take the Chargers giving the points and the Chargers straight up. The Browns are making me nervous. I do not listen. They have the best running game in football, but their passing game is scaring me. That OBJ is back from injury, and he had a really good first game. He did. I forgot the number of targets and receptions that he had, but he put up like 77 yards, which is good for his first game back from. I think he had a torn ACL last year. So OBJ had a good first game back 2 weeks ago. This week scares. This week's performance, he only had like 25 yards. They really need Jarvis Landry back big time. And but I'll tell you, I don't think. Yeah, I think the Chargers are really going to take care of business pretty easily against the Browns. I really do. The Browns need some threats at receiver because I think the Chargers. I don't think they're going to necessarily shut down the Browns game, but I think they're going to be able to minimize the damage that the Browns running game would normally do. And I don't think the Browns defense is really good. It is very good too. So this is going to be this might be the game of the week right here. It might be the game of the week, but it's in Los Angeles. I'm going to take the Chargers giving the points and the Chargers straight up. Giants at the Cowboys. The Cowboys are giving 7.5 points. I'm taking the Cowboys giving the points and the Cowboys straight up. Listen, I'm a big time Giants fan. I do not expect to win in this game at all. I just love to see the Giants keep pace somewhat. I'd like to see their offense just like just roll, just get better, be consistent. I'd love to see the Giants put up like say like 27 points, 30 points. I'd be ecstatic if they could put up like 27 points. I'd be ecstatic. The Cowboys defense is looking tough. The Giants on the defensive side of the ball for the Giants, they are not going to be able to contain the Cowboys at all. The Giants will like a good drive for the Giants on defense will be if they hold the Cowboys to a field goal. I think it's really going to be a blowout here, to be honest with you. But my focus in this game is the Giants offense. I want to see them. I want to see them well. Every last week everything was clicking. In the last like 10 minutes of the game, in the last 6 minutes of the game, everything was clicking. I want to see that continue. I want to see that continue for the Giants. As a Giants fan, that's my focus. So I do think this is going to be blowout city here, but I want to see the Giants offense continue to grow and continue to mesh like they did last week at the end of the game for New Orleans. Um, I feel like the Giants are really, really just on the cusp of becoming a very, very, very good offense. That of everything coming together. I feel like the Giants are right there, but they are not in Dallas's class. I think Dallas is an elite team, and Giants are not in that class. 49ers at the Cardinals. Cardinals are giving 5.5 points. I'm taking the Cardinals giving the points. I want to see what's going on with Garoppolo's status. Under the assumption that Garoppolo is playing, as of right now, under the assumption that he's playing on Sunday, I'm taking the Cardinals giving the points and the Cardinals straight up. Well, I guess I'd be making that pick anyway, regardless of Garoppolo, because if Trey Lance is, if he does start, I think he's a talented young player, but he's a rookie. He's a rookie. So, and I think it would be his first time starting. So I'm going to change this to, I'm just taking the Cardinals, giving the points, and the Cardinals straight up. I think it's going to be a damn good game. And I almost kind of want to take the 49ers getting the points, but no, I'll take the Cardinals giving the points and the Cardinals straight up. Moving on. Okay, Bills at the Chiefs. This is actually the game of the week. This is the game of the week. Bills at the Chiefs. Okay, so Buffalo's at Kansas City. The Bills are giving 2.5 in Kansas City. I think that's a little crazy. I know the Bills are 3-1 and the Chiefs are 2-2. And the Chiefs defense hasn't looked very good, but you're playing in Kansas City. I don't know. I'm taking the Chiefs getting the points, and I'm taking the Chiefs straight up in the upset. I'm still surprised that the Chiefs are giving points in Kansas City. That's really surprising. I'm going to take the Chiefs getting the points, and I'm taking the Chiefs straight up to pull the upset in this game. And I do think the Bills are a really, really good team, but I think the Chiefs are. I think the Chiefs are going to pull off the win here. I really do. I think the Chiefs are going to get ready to start rolling with a bunch of wins, roll off like 5 or 6, 7 wins in a row, something like that. And then the Monday night game, Colts at the Ravens. You're going to have the old Baltimore team versus the new Baltimore team. The Baltimore Colts, who are now the Indianapolis Colts, versus the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are giving 7 points. I'm going to take the Colts getting the points in this game, and I'm taking the Ravens straight up in Baltimore. I definitely think Baltimore's a better team, but Indianapolis has got it. They have a very good defense, and like I said, Carson Wentz, I think he's a very good quarterback. His offensive line has not been playing up to expectations, but he also needs help at wide receiver. He's got some decent wide receivers, but he needs that number one wide receiver to bring everything together for that wide receiving core. And I don't know when T.Y. Hilton's going to show up. I mean, I can't really find like any like news on the guy saying that he's going to be playing this week or the week after that. So the jury's still out on T.Y. Hilton as to when he's going to be showing up for the Colts. Um, but man, they really could use him. The Colts could really use him. But I think the Colts are gonna really stick around in this game. And so I think I do think the Ravens will win, but I think the Ravens will win by less than 7 points. So I'm taking the Colts getting the points, and I'm taking the Ravens straight up. And that's my picks for right now. Like I said, Sunday morning, Cup of Joe. Some of those predictions will probably be revised. We'll see. But before I go, just a reminder, our schedule. Get rid of that right there. No, I want to hide that. Okay. Our schedule. This is our with 8 shows at toiletstotitles right now in the NFL season. This is the schedule. Monday night we've got the waiver wire, which is actually for Patreon members only. Tuesday night, that's the only show that's for Patreon members only. Tuesday night at 8 p.m. we've got Toilets to Titles, which is our flagship program. Wednesday night at 9 p.m. you're watching it. I'm really starting at like 8:30, maybe sometimes 8 o'clock. So I got to change that. But Wednesday night, Joe Knows NFL review preview, which is what you're watching right now. And then Wednesday following the show at around 10:30, maybe 10 o'clock is Dollars to Deuces, which is weekly betting advice. Thursday night at 8 p.m., we have a dash of DFS. Saturday at 7:30 p.m., we've got Down Under Dynasty. We've got our guys from our team from Australia giving fantasy advice. Sunday at 8 a.m., it's me again, Cup of Joe, where I recap that weekend's NCAA football games, and I do an updated preview of for the Sunday and Monday NFL games. And then Sunday at 10 a.m., it's really more like 10:30 a.m. actually, is the Blitz, which is our show that gives fantasy advice on start, sit, but other fantasy advice too. It's not a call-in show. I have to change that. Eventually we want it to be a call-in show, but you can send in questions looking for fantasy advice through the chat. And our hosts will be, and again, the hosts are Alex and Mike and Justin, and they're going to answer any and all questions that you the viewers, send through the chat. And again, we have our website, which launched August 1st, toiletstotitles.com. It's got all of our videos, articles, tons of fantasy and NFL football content. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. And again, here's the Twitter handles for me and all my compatriots here at Toilets and Titles. Follow everyone. It's a great group of guys. And don't forget, just a friendly reminder, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell, and give us that 5-star Apple review because we deserve it. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. I'll catch you Sunday morning on my Cup of Joe show. Enjoy the NFL week. It's going to be another great week of games coming up for week 5. All right, everyone, peace. Have a great night.